Hello everybody, this is Gregory with How I Lost Over 100 Pounds and have kept it off for 30 plus years, where there should be no hesitancy in your weight loss and maintenance. Today we're going to talk about using calorie in, calorie out as a stopgap approach until you can correct your eating. Now before we begin, if you need help with weight loss, contact me through the Calorie FM link found here in the episode notes. Also check out my website, which has hundreds of articles, my movie podcast, The Cinema Rag, my regular podcast, The Awakened Man, which has tons of stuff on health related and naturopathy. And lastly, if you appreciate my content, there is a link for PayPal. All right, so we've talked about the perils of calorie in, calorie out. So if you're not familiar with that term, it's essentially just eating a lot of crap and then working it off either through cardio or strength training, but typically it's going to be cardio. This is something that I personally did for many years, if not at least a decade. And I talk about this in the playlist of Reflections of a Weight Loss Warrior, which starts off where Confessions of an Obese Child ended. That's the personal playlist of what it was like to be fat and bullied. And then Reflections is a 30 episode series that starts right after I lost the weight and kind of having to adjust to now what, right? It's just like one of those, it's like, you killed a person, killed your father, and now you're like, what's my purpose? So I lost the weight, but I still had disordered eating. And so now I had to figure out, and it took easily a decade while I was keeping my weight off, how to achieve that to where I am now. So in a couple of those episodes, I just talked about how it was just calorie in, calorie out. I was still binge eating, but then I would work it out. And I'm in my 20s, so my metabolism was faster, so I could do this to a certain extent. I'm just corroding the inside of my body, hurting my liver, hurting my heart, all these things. But I was still addicted to food, and that's what made me fat in the first place, because I had a disordered relationship with food due to childhood trauma. So if you're in that place, because a lot of the things I tell you is like weight loss is psychological, no doubt. You got to do the deep work to fix that trauma, go to therapy, whatever it is, dissociate emotions from eating. Well, that's easier said than done. That's going to take some time. In the meanwhile, a stopgap approach, you can do calorie in, calorie out, because there's worse things that you can do. And the benefit of calorie in, calorie out is you are offsetting some of the pernicious effects of eating all of that crap, high trans fat, high bad cholesterol, high sugar food that's just wreaking havoc on your endocrine system. Because we know like working out will shunt a lot of the glucose, a lot of that sugar in your blood to the organs, so that and to the skeletal muscles, so the skeletal muscles will work. So that is something that you can do. You can even see it in simple things like postprandial walks. So taking a walk after you eat dinner lowers your blood sugar, helps regulate your hormones. And I take my walks before my dinner, but either way, even little things like that. So working out, even while you're binge eating, is I would not say it's okay. It's like a lot of things. It's okay. It's better to do the deep work, because once you do the deep work, then you're free of all this kind of slavery to food and slavery to your emotions that connect you to food. And then you can just be like my dog here. When he's hungry, he eats and he walks away. That's the goal. That's the goal, is to have that type of relationship with food. Easier said than done. But while you're on that road, and I want you to be on that road, I don't want you to be just calorie in, calorie outing forever, because A, it's eventually going to catch up to you. Your metabolism is going to slow. You probably have a bigger gut and you're more overweight than you think you are, because when you are eating crap, you are eating a lot of calories. And unless you're ultra marathoning it every day or training for a triathlon, no matter how much cardio you do or you're lifting, you're not going to burn the 4,000 calories of junk food you ate during the day. So it will catch up to you. But in the meanwhile, while you're adjusting the thermostat in your mind in terms of food, it's better to be working out every day than just eating a bunch of crap. And this goes back to another theme that we talk about. It's like, no matter how tired you are, no matter how lazy you are, no matter, I don't care if it's cold outside and it's 5 a.m, work out every day. It is a habit that you need to inculcate into your ethos. Make no excuses. I talked about in the first episode I ever did here, the number one key to long-term weight loss and weight maintenance is changing your paradigm, because the paradigm you've been using isn't that word. You got to change your paradigm where it's, I'm working out pretty much every day. I don't care. I don't care if I'm not in the mood, because when you start getting out of the mood, I don't feel like it, then again, you're going to slide back in. So you got to work out. And especially if you have binge eating and you're not eating well, you got to work out to offset some of those things. You got to be sleeping well. I would do some thermo stuff like dry sauna, some cryo, some of those little biohacks, fasting, of course. But you need to be working out, even if you're not in the mood, even if it's like 30 minutes. I don't have a lot of time, even if it means I have to work out of the gym, like you have a meeting at, you have a 1 hour lunch break from 12 to 1, and you have a virtual meeting at 1, you'll be like, oh, I don't want to go in the gym, I don't have enough time. You can do the meeting from there. You can find a quiet spot. When there's a will, there's a way. And if you're overweight, there's a will. There needs to be a will, because you will die young and you will have social alienation if you don't do something. And these are things that should motivate you. So the number one thing is get to that deep trauma that you have. But in the meanwhile, while you're working on it, and I pray you're working on it, that's the whole reason why this channel exists, do the workouts, do calorie in, calorie out until you can get there. Guys, post in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Hit the notification, subscribe if you haven't already, and share with others. Until next time, take care, God bless, and pray.